And now, prepare to be amazed as the doyen of Cleveland sports broadcasting invades your ears. Here is Mr. Moohead.
Oh, boy. Okay. Doyen is
It's a good word, isn't it?
Yeah, I went out with a woman named Doyen.
Doyen.
Yeah,
Doyen
she
Sawyer.
thought she knew everything. I don't know what the deal was. How's everybody doing? My goodness, it's the end of another week, and it's time for Moohead Radio again. And today's an interesting program because of my anger and wrath from the game two nights ago.
How angry are you?
I was so pissed off at that game. That's more pissed off than I've been
Really?
in a long, long time.
Wow. Okay.
And
I watched it too. I didn't get pissed off. I was just sort of mildly disappointed. But
well, the disappointment to me, I mean, any team can have a bad shooting night. That can
Correct.
happen.
yeah.
And but there's so much that was beyond disappointing to me
Okay.
and that's what I'm going to talk about now, and what the fallout was because of what I put up on social media.
Oh, well, I don't know anything about this because I try to avoid
Yeah.
things that are run by Nazis.
Here's the thing. The game itself was not the Cavaliers' finest hour in the beginning of the game.
Oh, God, no.
And certainly at the end of the game. But it was nauseating watching them being the officials, allowing one player to commit foul after foul after foul. And the thing that's interesting about it, it wasn't like his filthy ass teammate. What's that guy's name? Dylan?
Oh, Brooke
He's
Dillon
he's
Marshall Dillon he was hardly in the game. Dillon. He was in the game, but he was a non-entity. He really didn't.
He was brought in there
much
to
of
be
anything.
a tough guy. Okay.
Yeah, well, he
But
didn't do much of anything.
Shangoon
Oh, God.
the second syllable says it all. I mean, he is Cro-Magnon. He is disgusting. He's vulgar. I can't say anything
Wow.
good about him because he's a piece of human shit.
Okay.
I mean, I understand that you got to make the most out of what you got. And our example in Cleveland of that is Niang. All right.
Yeah.
George Niang does not have the prowess of having a vertical jump or a first step or to be dominating on the boards. He does have the ability to make outside shots, but he is who he is.
Yeah.
And you live with the good nights and the not so good nights and all that. Here's Shangoon, 22 years old, who for some reason the league wants something good to happen for him, which I don't. I want an injury to happen for him and quickly. And I would like that my team would give it to him. Okay. There's a difference between looking at things on social media, and they were showing examples of the ISO moves that they use now. And I think that, Tatum, it would be famous for it, which is they push off with their arm.
Yeah, the little drop off
and then push it. Well,
yeah,
out with the forearm to get separation, and that's considered acceptable if you're a star in the league.
Yep.
If you're not viewed as a star, you cannot do that. If George Niang did that, it'd be like an offensive foul. And Tatum does it.
Every play, every time he's down the court. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fine.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
fucking 22-year-old Shangoon? What's the story here? He's not doing that move. And it was infuriating that fans would insinuate on social media that I don't know the difference between the separation move and somebody who's throwing elbows as hard as he can on every move and planting them in his opponent's rib cage and doing it intentionally. And then when they nail him on something, he's like,
yeah, it's like
he's
I
all
didn't do anything.
surprised Cro-Magnon on the court. So what I did was, it's like when it got to the point in the beginning of the game, it was bad enough when he was just elbowing his way from here to there. But when he physically threw Allen on the
Jared
floor,
Allen, yeah, that was like midway through the fourth quarter, wasn't it?
should have been ejected from the game. And the reason I say that with confidence is that Lou Dort, the player for the Oklahoma City Thunder, the last team that had beaten the Cleveland Cavaliers,
yeah,
who did a really good defensive job on Donovan Mitchell. Now we know how he accomplished it. In the game that they were playing, losing to the Mavericks, he was screened and he went around a screen. To get around the screen, he basically took the flat of his hand and hit it against the screener's groin.
Yeah, that'll hurt.
Intentionally hit him in the dick. I mean, and you know what happened to him?
What happened to him?
He was ejected from the game.
Okay.
And it was in no way, shape, or form. I mean, it was obvious that he did it on purpose. Absolutely. And that's the Lou Dort defense. That's what he does. He's their guy. And I don't watch the Thunder enough to really know. But all I had to do was see that. And it's like, oh, shit, he went after the guy's gonads. I mean, yeah. That's a technical foul and an ejection because you're trying to hurt somebody. But Şengün, it didn't matter what he did. And he became more emboldened.
Oh, yeah, he got rougher as the game went on. How he got separation was by, as you said, muscling people out of the way. And Allen didn't do himself any favors, though. I think he sort of exaggerated falling out of the way, or it appeared that way to the refs.
It didn't work. Just taking the fucking hit, it didn't work for the first 8 times the fucker did it.
Okay.
So you want to do something to say, like, look what this guy's doing. Well, they just weren't going to pay any attention to it. And when the guy ran under Darius Garland's legs, and they call that
they did.
A flagrant, I'm
I
saying
was
to myself,
shocked by that.
If I'm that player, I'm saying, what is it about me? It's like,
yeah.
You know, what's wrong with me?
He's got Drazen Petrovic armpits. Yeah.
I've seen closeout fouls called and not called.
Yeah,
and
that's a judgment call. That is totally.
Yep, and that was a closeout foul.
Yeah,
but the fact that they moved it up to a flagrant.
Yeah,
after I watched the whole. You know, what it would be like? It would be like watching, the Hannibal Lecter movies, and becoming self-righteous at the end and saying all of this violence just isn't good. Then why did you sit through 2 hours and 15 minutes of it, you stupid fuck? These officials sat there and watched this guy.
They didn't call anything the whole game, really.
It was pathetic. Yeah. I've never seen anything like it before. So I went on, and I will call it Twitter forever, because Elon Musk is a bipolar schmuck.
He's a pussy.
And and what I said was, how infuriated I was, and that the Cavaliers have a date with them, and the first thing that should be accomplished in that date is to go after Şengün and plant elbows into his ribs. And if you happen to break one, so be it. That's all I said. Okay. I got banned.
We got banned from...
Banned.
Really?
Yep. Wow. They threw me out, and they said, you can regain control of your account which isn't my account, it's their fucking account, and you can get back, in 12 hours. But it could be up to a week before you really get it back.
I
There's
didn't
a
know they
threatening message on
moderated
my
that.
screen. Yep. Meanwhile, I'm seeing all of this misinformation on Twitter and things that are far more dangerous.
Oh, obviously, yeah. We didn't even have to go into that. I mean, that goes without saying.
And so not only made me more infuriated. So, so I
I'm
will
sorry, I'm
use my
laughing,
own
but
program to say that I am not interested in players injuring players. But when one person steps over the line, like Draymond Green, laying on the floor and kicking LeBron James in the
in the
nutsack.
nuts. Yeah, he did that. He
Yes, he
certainly did.
did do that.
We
And
all saw that. Kelly
and
Olynyk.
yep,
We
when
all
you
saw that.
twist a guy's arm and you not
That was assault. That was an
yes,
illegal act. That was. I'd put him in
pull it
jail
right
for
out
that.
of its socket.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And anytime you elbow somebody in the ribs, for Christ's sake, a boxing punch can break somebody's ribs. You crack a rib of a player,
Oh, and we've talked about cracked ribs before, how awful they are.
and
So, yeah.
you won't heal from that. And you can ask Jared Allen about that because that was the injury that he was dealing with last year. Ribs don't heal easily. There's not a lot of vascular, blood supply in that area, and they just linger and
Yeah,
linger
they
and
stay
linger.
inflamed. Yeah, because there's
He
nothing
was
there to heal.
purposely trying to injure the ribs every time he would do that move. It's one thing with an extended arm. It's another, you're not going to go up with the shot because it will be blocked because you have stubby little stumps for legs. What he was doing was taking his elbow, like he was turning the corner and planting that elbow into their ribs and literally hurting them. And it's just a matter of time until he will break somebody's ribs, and the league is applauding him for it. So I say, put Tyson, our rookie, in the game and shatter his ribs and be done with this cocksucker, because that's not the way the game is supposed to be played. And it's the same thing that I say about Minkah Fitzpatrick most likely ending Nick Chubb's career for no goddamn reason except it was there and he could take the cheap shot.
Wow.
And, to me, anybody who shows me that they're playing cheap shot basketball, and that goes for Draymond Green, it goes, there's a number of guys who are like bad boys, another one would be Wagner from Orlando. He's Sieg Heil, a fucking German guy who's just trying to hurt people on the court. And, and the thing is that when they're accused of doing something, they become the most innocent people in the world. And they're so unconvincing. I don't know who in the fuck Şengün is, and I don't care who he is. I know who Jalen Green is. I know who, and the other thing I know is they have a secretary fucker as a head coach. And Udoka looked like a fucking maniac on the sideline. This is Udoka.
Yeah, he kind of was
fucking crazy. I mean, and do you realize that the Celtics got rid of him so quick, even though he's a winning coach?
Yeah.
They got his ass out of Boston in a big furry hurry because he's not right. And it's going to happen again. Something's going to happen with him. He isn't right. And he's telling that player to do that. That's what, and this is the same thing that we see with the Steelers. It's Mike Tomlin, who also has that festering crazy look on the sidelines. And the bottom line is he's telling the players to do this. And hey, this is how we win. We injure the other team. And you got the only thing I agreed with what the fans were saying, a lot of the fans were saying on Twitter, was that you can't let them just keep doing that. And it's no different than when we were young and there was a bully and they were picking on us. You either had to
Oh yeah,
protect
yeah.
yourself or you're going to keep getting pummeled. And the more that you allowed it to happen, the more frequently it would happen. And there's this narrative, well, the Cavs, they're soft. Cavs are soft. And that's a national narrative. That isn't just me being, thin-skinned. That's being said on the TNT pregame shows, on the national broadcasts on ESPN. That's what they're talking about. Well, they're kind of weak that way. They're soft. Well, there's only one way to get it through people's thick skulls. And that's you got to put a goon on your roster. And 2, you got to have your guys out there not afraid to take a shot at somebody who's trying to hurt your teammate. That's real simple to me. And I just don't, I just can't abide by it. And I'll tell you something else about Houston. It took everything that the officials could conjure, every foul that they could make, and an absolute fluke ending for them to win that game. And if we have Mobley and LeVert in the lineup,
I mean that goes without saying. I was going to avoid saying that Mobley, if he was in that game, we cannot win with 15 minutes of Tristan Thompson on
that's
the court.
right. I mean, we were at a disadvantage on the road.
Regardless of what you're saying about Sengun and all that, we just cannot win with that much Tristan Thompson.
And I think the team realizes that. I think that it was really remarkable for a man his age to be able to play 26 minutes. And, because
I know. I mean, he looked like
he's
Greg
in physical condition. He just doesn't bring much to the dance. But,
no,
he was out there trying. And I give anyone credit who's trying, which is more than I can say for Booker of the Suns. And they're all on the trading block now. I don't know if you saw, but the Milwaukee Bucks now are offering Bobby Portis and Chris Middleton. They're all on the trade market. Yep, they're done. Their run is over. And Connaughton done, over with. So they got to start rebuilding, and it's kind of late now because all they got is Giannis, and Giannis. The NBA better figure out what they're going to do to market their fucking league, because times change and people get old quick. We're playing the 76ers tonight, and Embiid ain't playing. Embiid hasn't been playing for most of the year. Can't talk about him, can you?
No.
He's toast. And he's out for another 7 to 10 days for evaluation.
Yeah.
I mean, and you look at the situation that the Sixers are in right now, and we're playing them in Philadelphia. Anything can happen. But they have Maxey, who is their 26-point-a-game guy, and he's going to be out there. But Embiid's 24 points ain't going to be out there. They got Paul George, but he's about 72 years old now. And
how old is he,
they've got Kelly Oubre, who's
about 90.
Former Washington Wizard. He knows how to lay down about as well as anybody. I mean, he can get hot. Yes, he can be a firecracker. He's left-handed Karis LeVert, but he doesn't play any defense. All right. But listen who's out. Embiid is out. McCain, who averages 15 points a game, is out.
Dead.
Both Martins. One averages 9.1, the other one 6.4. They're out. The backup center, former Cavalier Andre Drummond, is out. They have no big man except for Yabusele. That is their forward, who's going to have to be their longest guy in the 40
minutes, yeah.
And Kyle Lowry They can't even lay on him because he's out.
And he's old too.
He's old too.
He's
But
old too.
and
We're
he
all
wasn't
old.
really making a big difference this year because he's really gone over the edge.
That's an
But
old fucking team, really. That's
if Fred Van Vliet doesn't start throwing in prayers,
oh my god. He kills
Houston
us
doesn't.
every fucking time, doesn't he? When he was at
Hu-
the Raptors, he used to kill us.
but
Yeah.
Houston would never have won that game
No.
under any normal circumstance for the Cavaliers
It
if
was a
they had
fluke game.
a below average 16-point performance from Mobley and an 8-point performance from Karis LeVert. That's
We would have
24
won by
points.
15. We would have won by 15
Yeah.
easily. We would have had our subs in there and hello Topaz in the background.
They're not very good. The Houston Rockets don't
No.
concern me as a team. I just want to see justice done. And it's going to be hard for Cleveland because they have to do it back to back. They've got to play in Philadelphia and they've got to play again without Mobley. And they're playing again without Okoro.
I mean, Allen's going to be gassed tonight, man. I'm not expecting a lot from him, but he has to play for 35 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. And then you have Karis LeVert and his wrist.
Yep.
And I'm not doing this to say wrist. I'm saying the longer this wrist continues, the more likelihood he's on the trading block. If you don't see him in a game and they're just not updating him, and something's on the boiler. That and the front burner, something's happening. Now, I don't know that, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out. It's like, I don't remember him hurting his wrist particularly, and this will be the third game that he misses. If he sprained his wrist, then we would be hearing about that.
They would have said that, I would have thought. But
with Mobley, we know that it's a calf strain, and that could be a grade 1 or a grade 2. If it's a grade 1, then they're just being overly cautious, which is the smart thing to do with soft tissue injuries, as anyone in the Cleveland Browns can tell you.
Cleveland Clinic.
Yeah. No, let's just put him out on the field. He'll be fine.
Don't go to the Cleveland Clinic. You'll die.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
And I just I don't know. It's an irritant to me when the game's played the wrong way and when the league encourages that. The Cavaliers are going to have to figure out a way. And the reason that the Cavs are going to do something, I guarantee you, Dan Gilbert isn't going to sit still. He never sits still, not when there's a chance to do something. He
fired David Blatt like in the championship year. So, yeah, he's going to do something.
He's proactive. And the thing that's going to lead to the proactive thing is, I know a lot of the Cavs fans say, we need another big. We need another big. We don't need another big. We do need an enforcer. That would be nice. But if we can't get that, we just got to do something about Sam Merrill because he can't play anymore.
No, he's no good at all.
To be truthful,
he's awful.
Well, I mean, he's worked hard to make himself a better defensive player, but it's right in his head big time. He's coming out. I'm watching feeds that are direct feeds.
Yeah. So am I. He wasn't hitting the rim a couple times. Yes, the other day.
Well, he comes out of the locker room at halftime early and is hoisting up shots before anyone else behind the arc. It's in his head.
It's too late to practice at halftime. He practiced some other time.
He made a putback in the Rockets game. That was an important putback.
Yeah.
Right after he did it, and the camera was following him going back down the court, he was going like this, doing his shooting motion. He's fucked up in the head. He just, and the shots aren't even close. They're not.
They're like, I could shoot better than that.
He's got the yips, and they've got to do something because they're up to this point the number one 3-point shooting team. But in his last, I think it was like 12 games that Sam Merrill is shooting 28% from behind the arc. You just can't have a guy come in for a couple of minutes and be a volume shooter and just throw up bricks. You can't do it.
Lately. Yeah, he is total death.
So, right off the bat, they got to bring something in. And that's what all this Cam Johnson talks about and all. And quite honestly, we have no evidence that Cam Johnson cares about winning, knows about winning. I don't know anything about this guy, what makes him tick, but I trust the front office and I trust Kenny Atkinson to motivate players to get the best out of them. And I don't personally think that Cam Johnson is coming to Cleveland,
Well,
but
I don't.
I do believe something's going to happen because right now, um, the couple
Something probably
things.
will happen. I mean, Merrill the other night, he was 3 of 9 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3 points, and 5 of those 6 were very bad misses. Like you could see them when you let go of them off his hand that they were not going to go in. So yeah, he was like shockingly awful. Yeah.
The couple of things that the Cavaliers have found out is the team seems to consistently do better when Ty Jerome is on the floor.
Well, he had a great game the other night, and he hadn't had a great game for about 3 or 4 weeks, in my opinion. But he was
No,
great
but
the
you
other night.
see, when he doesn't have the shot going down, the 3-point shot going down,
Mm.
he it goes going into the lane and he finds his points in the paint because he just walks players down and he's got a very odd motion
Yeah, he
and
lulls them to sleep, and while they're defending him, and you think he's not going to do anything, and then suddenly he's by them, and they're like going, "Which way did he go?" You know,
I don't even
they're
call it a
yeah,
floater because he's not off the ground long enough, but he kisses the ball off the
yeah,
backboard. He's got a repertoire of shots, but more importantly, he gets steals and he plays aggressive defense
yeah.
and he's not afraid to throw his body into a pile.
Well, he had
And
3 steals the other night. I'm looking
he's
at the stats right now.
Delhi with more offensive upside and more size. And
But he's more stealth about it. Delhi, you knew he was there because he was just harassment to everybody on the other team. But Jerome kind of sneaks up on people and
yeah, and
defends that way. He's like the stealth Delhi.
the only problem with Ty Jerome is the problem with Delhi. And that's not anything about their character, about their ability to play, but they're going to price themselves out of the role that they're in. I mean,
Yeah.
people are going to take a look at that guy and say, God, if we'd be able to, gee, Ty, we'd be able to give you 30 minutes a game and
Well,
we'll
then he
pay you
wouldn't be
this
as
much to
good.
do it. They
Yeah. And
paid $40 million to Dellavedova.
yeah, that
Bucks
was
did.
insanity. He was not worth 1/4 of that, as it
Nope.
turned out. That was
So,
insanity.
yep. But that's the only downside to Ty Jerome, but he's going to get more minutes. And with that being said, you can see that Kenny Atkinson is letting Tyson hit the floor a little bit more. He's not ready,
He's
and he's
poor.
real green.
He's raw.
Yep. And and he commits way too many fouls per minute on the court, and he's not playing real smart.
Great
But
hair though.
a lot of effort, and I think that he's a guy who's going to have to pick up some muscle and some bulk, and they have to find, and he has to find what his niche is offensively because he can't finish, and that's one of the problems that we're seeing in general. If Niang is driving to the basket, there's a good likelihood it'll
It's gonna
get
get
blocked.
killed. He'll get killed, yeah.
And same thing with Jerome. Jerome's a little bit better with his body though, and wedging his body between a defender and the backboard.
Yeah.
But Niang is really not good at that. And finishing is tough. Tyson can dunk the ball, but not in a position often to do it. And his shot, he doesn't have the physical strength to back people down, that sort of thing. Cavs are going to do something, that I can tell you. The reason, and I see the truth shall set you free says now that football's almost over, we'll be talking more NBA. And it's like, absolutely. I have no desire to talk about the idiot
Oh,
Browns.
fucking NFL.
And but I will once I'm done pontificating about my rage. But you know, look at it this way: the Cavs are way better than we thought they would be, and what
Yep.
they are playing a lot of games, and they're learning about certain players, the longevity of the effects of the players, whether they're positive or negative, and they're not going to be buyers of a pig in a poke. They're not going to do something just ridiculously like Jimmy Haslam, which is just knee jerky. They're going to consider a lot of things before they do anything. And I'm sure they have a plan, and I'm confident that they do. And the head coach will have some say in this because he's been around this league a long time, and he knows a lot of players and knows a lot of people who know a lot of players.
Well,
And
their trade acquisitions have been pretty good over the course of this regime lately. I mean, they've done a pretty good job, I would say. So
yep. Now, as far as transferring over now and segueing into the Cleveland Browns, I mean, what I can tell you is,
good NFL music for you.
yeah, well, so Kevin Stefanski goes in front of the media for 1 fucking minute and says, I'm going to call the plays. And
Woohoo! Our
I
savior.
reserve the right to change my mind. And Tommy Rees, he's a bright guy, and he's he doesn't know shit about constructing an offense. Why don't we just
Be honest
Yes,
and
right.
say that. Be honest and say he's just a yes man who's
Kevin
there to fill a role.
Stefanski, now you know the truth about Ken Dorsey. That was not Stefanski's call, not what Stefanski wanted. It was what Jimmy Haslam wanted, because Jimmy Haslam wanted Deshaun Watson, and he, incorrectly assessed that a downfield throwing offense would work in the two, drop safeties thing that was becoming more and more popular in defenses around the league. Jimmy is an idiot. Okay. He's a mongoloid idiot.
Mongoloid, he was a mongoloid.
Mongoloid, one chromosome too many. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. He's an
Akron's
idiot.
finest.
And he's just an idiot. So they took that and bring a guy in who is diametrically opposed to anything that Kevin Stefanski, Kevin Stefanski's a guy who likes every hair in place. And he's a guy, it was like, I loved the way that, and I always referenced the book Ball 4 by Jim Bouton. The guy was a major league pitcher for the Seattle Pilot expansion franchise. Before that, he was a New York Yankee during their golden years in the 60s, early 60s, yep. 63, 64.
Mickey Mantle and all that.
Yeah. And he would describe people who were real stick in the muds. And he would say, that guy, his idea of style was wearing his cap at a jaunty angle. And that's Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski's idea of explosive offense is an end around. Okay. I mean, this guy, and usually at the wrong time in the wrong place.
Oh God, yeah, loss of 5 every time.
The jet sweep.
Jet sweep.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is the Jets,
That's the cap at a jaunty angle. That's what that is. And bringing in a guy who's going to say, okay, I was working with Allen in Buffalo and we threw the ball downfield. And, it couldn't have worked because we didn't have receivers who could get down the field.
And we couldn't have an offensive line that blocked long enough for him to throw the ball downfield.
And Kevin Stefanski knows only one thing. That's zone read blocking, having a running game with 3 tight ends, and periodically using your wide receivers, but pissing them off so they want to go someplace else because they're
Yep.
not getting enough looks.
Your decoys for 35%.
The running game and
Yeah.
the tight ends. That's correct.
Yeah.
So you want to be a Browns fan? Go right ahead. That's what you're going to get again.
1 win a month next year.
Yeah. But now we know that Dorsey was fodder, was cannon
Yeah,
fodder.
he was given a poison chalice, and he drank fully of it
Well, he
and
didn't have
died.
a job and he took a job, but the
Yep.
job was never his. And there
Yep.
was no way they were going to ever let him. It was because the head coach did not believe in what he was doing, didn't believe in what Haslam was doing. And now, if Stefanski doesn't do it his way and get the team a whole lot better, Stefanski will get fired.
Finally.
But no, it's Jimmy who needs to die.
Oh God.
He
Yeah.
needs to
I mean,
pass away. He needs to go away. He needs to cross the rainbow bridge. The guy, as long
and
as he is
Dee and the
there,
rest of the family. Yep.
find a way to lose. And it doesn't matter to him. He'll fire Kevin Stefanski. He'll fire Ken Dorsey.
Barry and
Whoever it takes to, point his finger at somebody else when it's him all along. And so next year, what you're going to get is a bunch of backup tight ends. And you're going to see in the draft, they have to do more offensive line people because the ones they have are old and crippled. But they're
useless.
not going to, so you're not going to get a top wide receiver, yeah. It's not going to work that way. You're going to wind up with whatever it is that Kevin Stefanski wants. And realistically, a running back might not be a bad idea because I don't care how good the blocking is up front. It's not going to be great next year because our guys are old and crippled. And the new guys, whoever they bring in, it's not going to be.
We're going to have like 4 versions of Drew Forbes out there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
not
terrible.
But Jerome Ford doesn't run through holes the right way, and you might want to find. But you got to clear your roster of the Deontay Foremans and the Pierre Strongs. You got to get rid of them, and you got to find running backs who can get to the second level, and that means you're going to have to draft them because they're not floating around the league. Because if they were able to do that, they'd be playing someplace else. I mean, So
we're going to be absolutely awful next year. I mean, it's just going to be not worth watching.
Yeah. So now you know what to expect for the Cleveland Browns, what really happened with the Cleveland Browns, and that's all you need to know. And that's all I have to say about football in Cleveland because it's a dying thing because we're going back into the Hugh Jackson days. I mean,
we're going back into 2017 again.
And it's interesting. Here's the question I'm being asked: who are you picking? The Bills, Chiefs, and the Eagles, Commanders?
That's because he wants a gambler's look at it so that he can pick his games.
I don't care. I'm not a fan of football. I'm not an NFL fan. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, but now I'm just a commentator. Because I can't even get on board with the team. But the Bills and Chiefs, how many times we have to rerun it, and the Eagles, Commanders.
4.
I would like to see the Commanders win because
they're not gonna.
Yeah, well, it would be nice to see a rookie quarterback get through the NFC Championship to the NFC Championship and beyond. It would be great to see him win. And Jalen Hurts is an underperformer. Saquon Barkley's a great story, though. And I don't want to take, Saquon out of the Super Bowl either because he had to suffer the ignominy of playing for a bozo organization for too many years that cost him injuries. And but But if I had to say, I want to pick the Commanders. And I know it's going to be tough, though, because the one thing the Eagles have is a defense,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
they're going to confuse the young quarterback. It would be a long shot. Let's just say I'll be cheering for the Commanders and figuring that the Eagles will probably squeak by. The Bills and Chiefs, really, I got to be honest with you.
Which is the first game? Is it the NFC game?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, the Chiefs, it's already the penalties that they call against the Chiefs' opponents is way lopsided. And
Yeah, but then you know what pisses me off? I mean, Troy Aikman was going into one, and it's not like he never fucking got an advantageous call in his fucking career. I mean, give it a rest, Aikman.
well,
You big
he
pussy.
led us to believe he never wiped his ass and his
Yeah,
shit came out
exactly. I
clean.
mean,
So I don't care about that.
Aikman got his share of calls too. I mean, not saying that Mahomes isn't getting any. Mahomes is a flopper, obviously, but anyway,
I would agree with this, that I think the Bills
I
are
think
a stronger football team,
they have more talent, I think, than the Chiefs.
and they have seemingly an ability to put more points on the board, which hasn't been the case in years past. But the Chiefs have really not been the big scoring machine.
No.
And they've been able to get by with through bad weather and through defense. But the Bills, I think, have the ability to power the football in their running game, and also they have wide receivers who can hurt you, and they have a quarterback who is playing within a system. And I think Allen has come a long way, and I think they have balance. That would be the best word that I could use.
Well, I'm picking the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. So if you want to make a play on that, you can go right ahead, people.
No, I mean, it just depends who's gambling what money on which team.
Exactly.
I don't have any faith in that anyway, and that's what Rick is saying here. Whichever team follows the prearranged script, that's about the truth of it. God,
it is what it is, man. I can't.
Yeah.
So the Cavs game tonight, I'm a bit worried. I think we could be in for a tough game. So
I think they're all tough games as you get closer to the All-Star break, and when there's fatigue involved, there's players who aren't playing, and I don't have any word. If anybody in the chat room has any word on Karis LeVert's availability, I'm curious from the trade perspective more than I'm concerned whether he's going to be on the floor or not performing.
Well,
anyone who can, if there's any updated information on that, we're only an hour and 15 minutes away from the game.
Bleacher Report says he's day to day, so that can obviously change. So
right,
you have to put on WTAM, after this program to see what's really happening.
Yeah,
so I mean, saying Mobley and Okoro definitely out. So
yeah, and Okoro is re-injured, the same shoulder that we know.
Yeah.
And with Mobley, you don't want to mess with it.
No.
I would leave him out until the All-Star break.
I mean,
I really would.
One way of looking at it is that this is a meaningless game, but as far as you don't risk one of your star 3 players to get hurt in this.
Well, the other thing is this is going to be a back-to-back, and it's a Friday, Saturday back-to-back. We've got Houston coming into Cleveland, and you really, if he's going to play, he's going to play the Houston game. He's not going to play the Sixers game when they don't have Embiid or Drummond. Okay,
correct.
I mean, that's logical to assess that.
Well, I
And
mean, Dean Wade's got to start getting better games too. I mean, he's not been good either.
well, I mean, the
Yeah.
3-point shooting couldn't continue at the rate it was going, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm always interested.
Well, I think in the previous game, Jerome had the most minutes off the bench, which is why I said the other day was that, if Jerome's going to be our sixth man, then he's going to have to play. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know.
I
I'm,
wanted
I'm
to at
worried.
least do this very briefly, and this is just a quick story that really doesn't require much analysis or conversation. Eric Wedge became the second ex-Cleveland skipper to climb back into the manager's chair this offseason when he took over the Double-A Tulsa Drillers, an affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Good for him. Tulsa, huh? 24 hours from Tulsa.
Yeah. All I have to say about Eric Wedge,
Yeah, do the eye twitch. He had that like crazy eye thing going on.
no,
When
he
sitting there.
did that little bunny rabbit thing. I don't
Yeah.
know what the fuck that was all about. Enough of him. I want to forget about him. Also in big news, Pete Carroll is going to
Oh
coach the
yeah. He's going to
Raiders.
coach the Raiders. I mean, maybe he's after that some of that Vegas pootang. 'Cause
He's
he likes some of that.
73. He's
I know.
73. He don't got that in his system anymore. Pete Carroll
I
couldn't
wouldn't be
be.
so sure about that.
I thought it was Pete Carroll at first, and I realized he died years ago.
Yeah.
He was the former villain. Was he Villanova? No. Where was
Yeah.
Pete Carroll the coach?
Oh, Rick Mail now, probably.
Princeton. Does that sound right? Yeah. The Princeton offense. Yeah. But Pete Carroll, a 3-year deal to coach or until he dies to coach the Raiders. And, the Raiders are so far off the tracks as it is. What the hell? We'll bring in the 73-year-old guy. And we know we had all that success at USC and he had all that, success for a while up in Seattle. And maybe he can bring some of that fairy dust magic
Magic, yeah, magic.
to
Pete
the
Carroll.
Raiders. And it's like, no. Amazing. And our friend Big Ounce down in Houston, the Texans have fired Bobby Slowick after 2 seasons as offensive coordinator. What makes this a hilarious story?
How funny is it?
Oh,
You'll tell me.
It's like all of CJ Stroud's numbers went. They dropped this year.
Yeah.
And, it was obvious watching them that the head coach is the defensive coordinator, really, of the team, because that's what he does and what he did for a living. And the Houston defense looked real good, but the offense wasn't at all what they had predicted it would be. And some of it was injury, but some of it was definitely scheme, because the second halves of games, when adjustments were made, they weren't scoring. They were averaging 7.5 points after halftime.
That's Browns-esque.
Yeah, just anemic. So, yeah.
That's one drive in the second half. That's appalling. Yeah.
They also fired their offensive line coach, an assistant offensive line coach. Wow. And so I have this to say to Mrs. McNair.
Wow.
That's what I got to say to her. Fuck her. And I'm sure many have.
Wow.
Yeah, you shoot your mouth off, man. And, D'Amico Ryans is a good defensive coach, but he has no idea about offense. And the bottom line of the Houston organization under the McNair ownership, let's be honest about this. They had an explosive offense when Deshaun Watson was there, and they had no defense. Now they got this overwhelming defense, and they got no offensive scheme. The question is, can he and his bimbo put together, you got an idiot and a bimbo, and they've got to try to figure out how to fix the offense, and they haven't a clue. The question is, can they get it done? Because tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. You only got CJ Stroud under contract for so long. Tick tock, tick tock.
Yeah, 2 more
And
years, I think.
he's going to start getting ideas that there are better places that he could be than Houston if they don't get that fixed in a big furry hurry. But the funniest story.
Oh, how funny is this? You
Oh,
don't need Ed McMahon, do you? You can just have me going, how funny is it?
well, this, okay. Okay.
Okay.
So,
You're going to use
Liam
the
Cohen,
Casey Kasem voice.
oh, you know that Liam Cohen was the offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
He wanted to become the head coach in Jacksonville. But the Jacksonville owner's a psycho, and after a sit-down interview, Cohen decided that he wanted to stay in Tampa for one day. The next day, he was back at the bargaining table, and he agreed to become the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the punchline, and yes, I've been waiting for this. Oh, I've been so waiting for this. That means that one more season, adding, this will be his career. What was it? Like the
Probably
sixth,
eighth
or
offensive
eighth or seventh
It's crazy.
offensive coordinator
I'm going to
for
say eighth.
Baker Mayfield. And now you wanted Ed McMahon. Here we go. Oh, Johnny.
Oh, Johnny.
Baker's got another offensive coordinator. Yeah. The amazing Karnak. I mean, it would be,
been kept in a mayonnaise jar at the Funkin' Wagnalls port since noon today.
He'd hold the envelope up.
Hold the envelope
It would be
up.
like that. It would be like this.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield's nightmare. Yes, Swami.
Yet another new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. And all the, you don't understand. We'll see how Baker does on this one. So far, with Cohen, he was a barely over 500 quarterback.
He was.
And we'll see. Maybe this is the right move, but this wasn't the move that the Bucs wanted because they weren't trying to move Cohen out of the job. But the fact is that wait, I'm sorry, I should have. Con! No, that isn't right either. Con! Yeah, that's better. That was much better. Yeah, he wrote a check. Yeah, the thing that's disgusting about bad owners like Jimmy Haslam and
Khan and
Thad
Jerry
Khan
Jones and Johnson
and Chaka
McNairs and oh boy, there's so many.
Yeah, they get what they want just from the sheer money that they're producing from their organizations. It's like,
yeah, they're not punished for bad decisions. We've said this time and time again. We all have that they got so much money that they don't get punished ever.
I'm looking something up. Sorry, I don't usually stop talking, but
it's all right.
There is something that needed to be addressed. It isn't telling me what I want to know.
What do you want?
Oh, wait. I'm wondering, his name is Liam Cohen, Coen. Maybe Khan thought he was Jewish.
Possibly.
So he wrote the check.
Maybe he's one of the Coen brothers, that did those movies.
Yeah.
Or was it the Wachowski brothers or whatever?
But
their sisters.
But the day after he left. Said, "No way, I'm here in Tampa." It's like, whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he saw that check and his dick got hard. Yeah, so I'm wondering. I wonder if he just took that H out of his name and spells his name Coen.
Hmm.
You take the H out, and
Felt like Shapiro or Shapiro or
right. Anyone who called himself Shapiro, and
Shapiro.
I
Yeah.
used to get on the Indians guy. It's like, you self-loathing Jew, stop that.
Oh, did
You're
you see they got a
you
new
may call
relief?
yourself Shapiro, but you're a Shapiro to everybody else.
Did you see they got this new relief pitcher and they put a photo up of him and he looks like he's 50 years old. The
Oh yeah, that
Guardians.
guy.
That guy,
He's 34.
he looks
Yeah,
like fucking 50 years old dude, man. He's like right out of like Dennis Quaid looks younger.
that's scary.
Or
I,
Randy
I
Quaid
was
or any of the Quaids even.
I was strapped to a chair and forced to watch the movie The Substance with Demi Moore last night,
Okay.
and Randy Quaid was in it.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Poor thing.
I mean, boy, was that some kind of a movie to watch. I would urge anyone who's listening to the program,
To
if you
avoid that.
want a grotesque bloodbath kind of movie, it might be your thing. It doesn't make any fucking sense, but oh, Rox and I were just laughing our ass off by the end of the movie. It
Wow.
was a jolly old time.
Oh, Donkey's
So,
had his walk.
Doggy is back from his walk. And I got to get out of here too, because I got to take a shower before the game, and I got to make
Oh,
my
well,
dinner and all that shit.
you're smelling like a Croatian power forward then, aren't you? You know, lift up your arms so you can knock over.
Sasha Pavlovic.
Those were the good old Cavs, weren't they? When
That was his off-arm move
yeah,
offensively.
exactly. He didn't have to hit anybody in the ribs. He just lifted his arm up.
He passed out on the
peeled
floor. Yeah, I mean, that guy took a flop. No, he smelled his armpits. You don't understand. At any rate, thanks to everybody for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. I know it wasn't what you were expecting, but
I got a comment to make very quickly. Have you noticed that you sometimes call up this program afterwards, like you're watching the archive, and you'll say people mentioned in it, and it'll be like LeBron James or Kevin Stefan, and there'll be actual profiles at the back of people mentioned. I wonder if we're going to get Sasha Pavlovich show up as people mentioned in the program.
if you want to know where he is,
that'd be fucking awesome.
You know who could find him for you? Joe Banner.
Topaz could find him too. Ooh. You invoked him. He's over
Somewhere
there.
over in that direction.
He's over there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to be on Monday's show, you are welcome. Truth shall set you free. Not a problem. We urge people to come on and be panelists because I'm not insecure.
No.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, Bronk, and thanks everybody in the chat room, and to everybody who's going to watch this.
Why? Ask yourself why you're doing it.
Yeah, why?
Why?
Don't you have something better to do?
Go do charity.
We will be back on Monday, though. All right, Bronk. Thanks for helping, and thanks for listening, everybody. And until next time, hasta la vista, past your heads. Good night.